Next on News for the Soul, learn intuitive skills with Tina. Tina Zion is a fourth-generation intuitive medium, an internationally known expert in medical intuition and mediumship. As an award-winning author and instructor, she teaches medical intuition and mediumship skills to students around the world. And now she's here to teach you on News for the Soul. Please welcome Tina Zion back to News for the Soul.
Hello, everyone. This is Tina Zion, and I teach people all around the globe how to be an excellent intuitive. So every time we get together on News for the Soul Radio, every time is actually a class. It's actually a little bit of my courses and a little bit of my books that I have out there for you. So far, through News for the Soul Radio, I have talked about what intuition is and how it's getting in your way. I have talked about the 18 pathways that the universe communicates with us constantly and how to notice that communication. I've talked about, intuition and your health and how to depend entirely, it does depend entirely on your thoughts and emotions. And I also interviewed one of my mentoring students, and she has mentored with me for, 6 years now, and her name's Marianne Kelly. And our last get-together was my interviewing Marianne, and that was so much fun. So now I want to say again, and I can't say this enough, that you are already intuitive. You are already even a medium because you are already receiving information constantly. We can choose to receive it or we can choose to not receive it. We can choose to notice it or we can choose not to notice it because we living humans always have choice. So intuition will always seem, and it will always feel like your imagination. And I will repeat that. It will always, forever, feel like your imagination. So if you can, again, jump over that hoop or that hill or that boundary, you will realize how intuitive you are. You've been saying it's your imagination, but it will always feel like imagination, but the information that we get will always be clear. It will always be the clearest intuition. We humans are actually antennas. And an antenna, think about this, an antenna just sits there and does not really work at doing anything. So this is key, not to work at being intuitive, because we humans are really antennas. And a real antenna that's out there catching our cell phone information and things like that, it just stands there and receives and sends. And then it receives and sends. And it doesn't really do any work. And this is a very key point that I want to make to everybody. It doesn't work at this. So the aura, our human aura, is made up of every thought, every emotion that we have ever experienced. It holds our secrets, our beliefs. It has within it our fears, our past, but also our future potential. The past can be 5 minutes ago, or it can be 5,000 years ago. The visible part of our aura is a portion of our awareness. It's a level of our awareness shimmering way out beyond the edges of our body or the edges of our skin. It's a combination of thought, emotion, physical sensations in our human body. So it's a combination of every thought, every emotion, every sensation that we notice and sense as a human. When you witness an aura, because some of you out there are actually quite readily seeing auras. So when you witness an aura, you're actually seeing the soul. And I've never heard anyone else say this, but my guides gave me this information that the aura is so much more than we thought it was. It's really our soul energy that we're picking up, that we're sensing and that we're seeing. So imagine seeing or meeting each and every person in your life first as a pulsating, electrical, energetic soul. And that soul is an eternal soul. So imagine seeing and meeting each and every person that you know or that you don't know yet, first as a pulsating, electrical, energetic soul. And that soul is eternal. And our soul is actually so large that it cannot be stuffed down into our physical body. Because it's so large, it actually emanates out beyond our skin. Now think about that for a moment. And I'll be quiet because I really want you to, use this time as a class for yourself. So I want you to consider and think about someone that you know. And then I want you to notice them as an eternal soul. And I'll be quiet for a minute as you do that. And if you have something to jot it down, just write down, what did you notice? Because when we sense everybody as an eternal soul, we tend to be, more understanding. We tend to be more forgiving. We tend to notice everyone in a whole different way. So begin to listen to the signals of your body. I also want to talk about that now. Begin to listen to the signals of your body before the symptoms of an illness manifest. So think about that. The signals that your body gives to you before something manifests, before an illness begins in your body. What do people usually do when they are not heard? They become much, much louder. Think about kids. If we don't hear them, when they begin to speak to us, they just get louder, usually. The signals of illness will also become louder in your body. The symptoms will build and build in an attempt to be recognized. So some of that, much of that is our soul energy. It becomes louder. It sends our signals louder to us, to our physical body and our brain, in hopes of becoming noticed. So I'll take a moment again, and I want you to notice what signals your body has been sending you. Now make this time about yourself. What worry thought or negative thought did you have already today? Now the next question is, and make this all about yourself, how many times did that thought repeat in your mind? Each and every thought leads to an emotion, and that is vibrating electric energy rushing through our brain, our body, back to our brain, back to our body, in a continual flood of information, actually, a continual pathway, continual highway of information going back and forth and back and forth. So I use worry as an example. Thoughts of our worry have an energy signature that is slow and sluggish. And it's not just worry, it's any kind of what we would call negative emotions, I guess. But it's a good example. So thoughts of worry have an energy signal that's slow and it's sluggish. That dense energy of a worry thought, that energy vibration of worry builds on the last one and the next one and the next one. And it becomes more congealed, it becomes thicker, the energy becomes denser. And this thickness of thought, I didn't realize it sounds kind of interesting to me even as I say it. This thickness of thought and negative emotion actually creates more and more weight of energy. It gets weighty because it's so dense, and it becomes more and more dense the more negative we are. So if you continue worrying all day, let's say you continue worrying all day today, and then tomorrow, and then every day, it develops a substance. And many people call this, a block in our physical body. But this thickening substance can literally form and congregate in your body, eventually forming an illness of some type. So again, I'll give you a moment or so just to sit there and focus on yourself, make this a time just for you, and notice where worry or a negative thought has been collecting or getting thicker in your physical body. And I'll be quiet for a minute so you can make this all about you. Okay. Now, I want to share with you that I have noticed over time that certain negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative emotions, the focus of each of those thoughts tend to collect in a certain part of our human physical body. Now, I never get tired of talking about this. I love this. And this is a huge part, practically an entire morning of my 3-day, 4-day, 5-day courses. And so I'm going to give you some of the primary examples of how negative thoughts and emotions tend to lead to illness. So, for example, people who have struggles with their eyes, a lot of times you will hear people say, I cannot stand to see the news anymore. I cannot stand to see what's going on in the world. Well, every time we think those things, every time we think them or say them out loud, we give it energy. We even give it more energy. And so the energy of our eyes responds to that, and the energy diminishes just a little bit every time we say that. Now, the ears. How often have you said, and how often have you heard other people say, I can't stand to hear that person going on and on and on. I can't stand to talk to my family member because they're always saying this or they're always saying that. Well, guess where that goes? That begins to cut down or diminish the energy of our ears, of hearing, because our body is responding to every thought and every emotion. So I'm going to keep going through some of the primary body parts, body sections that we humans tend to struggle with quite a bit. Many people have sinus issues. Well, what happens with sinuses is they get infected, they get plugged up, they get congested, that kind of thing. Well, sinuses is all about tears that have been held back or that we're holding back, or tears that need to be cried. And again, make this time today all about you, to notice you in a deeper way. So if you have sinus issues or you tend to have sinus struggles, you have some tears in there that just are sending you a signal that they need to be cried. Okay, now our throat. There's a lot going on with our throat. And our throat is one of the primary chakras, the energy center. And our throat is all about expressing our own truth, expressing our truth to other people, expressing our truth, and especially the word of expressing it, of getting it out there to others, what you think. And it can be as simple as I always use this example, you really wanted pizza for dinner tonight, but the family wanted something else. They all wanted pasta or something. And so you just went along with it and didn't express. And that happens with our friends too. But just notice if you're having throat problems of any kind, tonsillitis, all kinds of things, sore throat, things like that, what are you holding back? What are you holding back? Okay. Now, in our throat area is the thyroid. And there's all kinds of talk, all kinds of talk now about our thyroids. And I know so many people with thyroid problems, either hyperthyroid or hypothyroid. So in the thyroid, it tends to be all about the energy of limitations. So if you think that you are limited and you consider and feel limited in any way, or some of us might feel limited in lots of ways, notice that sense, those thoughts, that energy of limitations tends to go to the thyroid. Now, another thing, and I've only noticed this, maybe the last 5 years, is when someone has a lot of thyroid problems, and someone has thyroid cancer, we'll say, or big thyroid issues, that they often are holding on to a deep secret. Yes, a secret. Secrets tend to go to our thyroid. Okay, now, moving on through the body here, our shoulders. Well, even the language, even in the English language, we have language and phrases just for many of these issues that I'm talking about. Let's talk about shoulders. How often have you heard this? Oh, she carries the weight of that responsibility on her shoulders. She just carries the weight of the world on her shoulders. Or he just lugs everybody's responsibilities around on his shoulders. Shoulders and problems, these are all about body issues. So problems with our shoulders, notice that tend to be about carrying the burdens. And I keep finding, especially when we carry the burdens about other people, do you feel you're carrying the weight of the world about someone in your family, the weight of the world about your dearest friend? That notice that will tend to go to our shoulders. Now let's see what else. The bronchial tubes. The bronchial tubes come down and they branch out to each lung. And what happens with our bronchial tubes is bronchitis. And so lots and lots of people have had bronchitis. Now, let me stop here and say this. Anything in the medical world, and I'm a registered nurse, I'm specialized in psychiatric nursing, but in the medical terms, anything with an itis on the end of it tends to be about, it means in the medical world, it means inflammation or an infection, but at least in inflammation. So a lot of people get bronchitis. And now think about this. Bronchitis, what tends to go to our bronchial tubes is current arguments, current anger, current issues, living something like that right now. So maybe arguing a lot will tend to go to the bronchial tubes. And these are things I've just noticed over the years of very specific things going to specific areas of our body. So the bronchial tubes go to our lungs. For right and the left lung, what goes to there, or what tends to collect there, is grief and sorrow. Grief and sorrow tends to go to our lungs. And so how many times have you known people who are in deep sorrow and they end up with pneumonia? They have some sort of struggle in their lungs because it's hard to take in a breath when you are struggling with grief. So some of this begins to make just logical sense. Actually, it seems very logical as we go through this. Now, another area that I want to talk about there in our chest is the heart. Well, gosh, our hearts do all kinds of things. Our hearts flutter, their rate becomes irregular, they have AFib, which is speeding up of the heart beat. When people have heart attacks, they have congestion of the heart congestion. And the heart is, as most people think of it, it's like the seat of our emotions. And what happens with our heart is when we feel life is out of control, our heartbeat becomes out of control. When our heart also plugs up, that means that there's so much congestion of our emotions in our heart. What else happens to our heart? It hardens. And now we have heart attacks. And so that is a great deal of emotion, like squeezing the life out of people. So consider this, and as we go along here, notice yourself, but also notice how some of these emotions will actually fit the personality of people that you know, and it fits the diagnoses that those people have also. So there's the lungs and the heart. Now, the breast, I'm just kind of pointing out the major parts here as we go down the body. The breasts are not just about nourishing babies. The breasts, for males and females, are all about self-nourishment. Are you taking care of yourself? And people who lose the primary nourishment in their life, it's usually another person, they will tend to have congestion in their breasts. They will tend to have like a nodule or a benign tumor or a cancerous tumor or something like that, depending on how old that is. So it's been going on a long time. So just notice that if you would. Now I'll just move on down here let me see, to some others. Gallbladder. Well, gallbladder is part of the digestion of our body. It holds a bitter liquid, I guess. And so people with gallbladder problems tend to be bitter about life. They just tend to be bitter about life. And most people who are bitter say very critical things. So somebody who criticizes, they will tend to have gallbladder problems. And again, what happens with the gallbladder? But people tend to get gallstones. And that would be a signal that there is a hardening, that we've become hardened to life around them, or hardened to a part of life around them. Something like that. Let's see, what else should we go here? The stomach. Now, I don't mean the whole abdomen. I mean the organ of the stomach, which is actually really high up in the abdomen. And the stomach is at the very center point of that chakra. And that chakra is all about our empowerment, or not having our empowerment, not sensing how empowered that we are. So give that a thought there for a moment, if you would. People who have problems with their stomach are not feeling confident about their self. It's very, very common. Very common. And it is the center of the solar plexus, which is all about owning and living and being who we are meant to be in this life. So I actually love that. Who are you meant to be in this life? And are you living it? Are you doing it? So I love talking about all this stuff. Now, because there's a lot of diabetes out there, a lot of diabetic people, it's all about the pancreas. And I've noticed this is a phrase that life just didn't turn out as sweet as I thought it would be. And many people who are struggling with being diabetic or high blood sugar have a sense that life is hard, that it didn't turn out as sweet as I thought it would be. Things like that. It's about sweetness. And so what do? We hold on to the sweetness inside of us because we sure don't have it around us. And notice that too about people that you know who might have that diagnosis. Let's see. Let me skip on here to our colon. Well, it's literally about, colon issues are literally about holding on to old issues in life, literally holding on to the old crap in life. So it's unresolved situations in our lifetime, unresolved stuff. Now think about this. Who do you know that talks about something that sounds like it happened yesterday? And sometimes I've asked my clients, well, when did this happen, the situation that they're talking about? And they'll have to sit and think for a little bit, and they'll say, oh, probably about 25 years ago now. And yet they talk about it and feel it as if it happened yesterday. Now that tends to lead to problems in our colon, into our large intestine. It's literally holding on to the old crap in life, holding on to old crap. So I love this kind of stuff. I love this, how the body is sending us signals and how the body responds to the emotions that we're having. Our body responds to our thoughts that we're having about life. So just think what might happen if you feel deep fear, anxiety, hate, or guilt for long periods of time. And think about the people that you know that are struggling with their thoughts and emotions. We humans, every single one of us, we are truly very, very powerful, and we truly are creators. Think of the magnitude of that. Think of the magnitude that you are the creator of your own life. And if we can create energy into an illness, what on earth might we be able and capable of doing with positive, loving thought energy? We are already creators on the most subtle yet most important level of all, energy of our thoughts, energy of our emotions. And I never get tired of talking about this. I simply love this. And I hope you are too. Now, there is some science behind all this. The Heart Math, and it's HeartMath, the Heart Math Institute, found the heart is more involved in this body-mind emotion connection than we could have ever guessed. The Heart Math Institute has been studying the heart, oh my goodness, I don't even know how long, but I love their studies. I love reading about what they have discovered. It's much more, the heart is much more than the pump that pushes blood around. Our heart not only pushes blood all around throughout our body, but it also sends out electrical frequencies that resonate with the brain's rhythms and interacts with the Earth's electromagnetic field. Okay, now think about this. The heart's not just pushing blood around through our body. The heart is sending out electrical signals to the brain. And the brain is sending electrical signals to the heart. Okay? And the heart signals and the brain signals are sending signals to the earth. So it sends signals to the Earth's electromagnetic field. I love this. So we are actually a part of the Earth's energy field. We're not just walking around here on Earth. We are walking around and energizing or electrifying or adding to the Earth's electromagnetic field. The Institute of the Heart Math, or Heart Math Institute, has measured the electrical field of the human heart, and they found that it radiates way out beyond our physical body. Now, I just love that. Now, think about that. When you are really feeling love, just even sitting there in your own house thinking about how much you love someone, that energy is rushing out literally to that person. And that energy is also intertwining into the Earth's energy. Now, I talk a lot about, and I teach a lot about, the human toroidal field and how powerful we are in our own energetic field. Now, picture yourself standing outside on the soil, on the earth, and you are an energetic, electrically alive, energetic person, energetic being, and you're standing there on the earth, okay? We are much more than humans running around on this earth plane. The earth has its own energetic field. You have your own energetic field, and the universe has its own energetic field. As we living humans stand on the earth, we are actually connecting. We are connectors. We are, bridges between heaven and earth. And are we a good bridge? Are we a positive bridge? Are we a weak link? Are we a powerful link? I always want to be a powerful link between heaven and earth. I always want to be a powerful link between heaven and earth. And in that power, I want to be a powerful, loving link between heaven and earth. And that energy field that we humans have is actually called the human toroidal field. And I go into a lot of detail about that in my medical intuition books because it has a lot to do with our health, our being, and it has a lot to do with our earth, and it has a lot to do with the heavens above us. This prestigious organization has found that our heart energy literally interconnects us with other people as well as with animals, as well as the earth. The heart has cells, and this is what the Heart Institute has found, the Heart Math Institute. The heart has cells that are exactly like the cells in our brains. So our heart has brain cells within it. So our heart has brain cells. According to the Heart Math Institute, and as electrical pulses move back and forth between the heart and the brain, the heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And when I read that, I thought, what? But they're finding this, and not just Heart Math, but lots of research is going on about how we humans are electrical. We are electrical. We are spirits. We are spirits, not just a physical body with a head on it. Our hearts have brain power. So the more you live your truth and the more you live your dreams, the happier, the healthier, and the wiser, and the more intuitive you will become. And I'm feeling this in my heart even as I share this with you right now. I'm feeling it more and more and more in my heart. I love that. Take a moment, if you would, and again, make this time all about you. Sit there with yourself, and I ask that you really feel, and maybe in your mind, look down inside of your heart and talk it over with your heart right now. What do you want to say to your heart? Go ahead and say it, but then also take a moment and listen, because your heart will send information back to you right now. So once again, take this and write it down, because when we're looking at life and beginning to work with life on this energetic level and realizing that everyone is an eternal soul, everybody is actually having their own struggles. You know, I have my own struggles, even though I do this for a living, but the more I share this with other people, the more I learn. So learn from your heart right now and see what else it has to tell you. Just another moment, and let it tell you something else, or even ask your heart a question and then take the pop of information. All right. I love having this class with you. I love it. It does feel like a class. I just love this. And I'm so glad that you've spent this time with me. My goodness. I do want to share that I do have, what do I have? I have some courses coming up here this year in 2024. And I only have, let me think, just a couple more live in-person courses this year, and also a Zoom one coming up. So June 21st to the 23rd, I am at Fellowships of the Spirit, which is in Cassadaga, New York. So it's in New York State. And I teach my class, and it's a 3-day class, Become a Medical Intuitive Practitioner. So this is really about becoming a practitioner of medical intuition and doing this for others. So that's June 21st to the 23rd at Fellowships of the Spirit. And then in August, I am at Omega Institute, and it is also in New York State, and I am going to do that course there as well. And then that course at Omega Institute is August 12th to the 16th. And I will also be offering Become a Medical Intuitive Practitioner. And so that will be June and August. I'm going to be in New York State giving these courses at Fellowships and Omega Institute. And then in August, I'm also a part of a Trauma and the Soul Conference. So my course is August 12th to 16th, but then August 16th to the 18th, which is a whole separate event, is that Trauma of the Soul Conference. And I'm one of the presenters, and I'm going to share a healing method to really learn but also heal a trauma of our soul. And that could be our current state of our soul and our current body or past lives. And we can go all different kinds of directions with that. I believe that there's going to be, I'll be one of 8 presenters. I believe that will be that many. Okay. Then October 12th and the 13th, I am going to be doing a Zoom course, and this is not even on my workshop yet. I just set this up. And it is going to be a different topic about be your own medical intuitive. And I'm going to go through the real steps, real actual detailed steps to heal yourself. So that course is based on one of my medical intuitive books. It's my 3rd medical intuitive book, To Be Your Own Medical Intuitive. And that is really touching a lot of people's lives. In fact, my publisher just told me recently that is selling, that's my highest selling book out of the 5 books that I have, because people want to heal themselves. You listeners, even you, each of you, want something. You want to heal yourself in some way. And so I'm going to be sharing as much as I can in 2 days, October 12th and 13th. And that's going to be a Zoom class. And so I do offer Zoom occasionally, and I'll probably be doing more Zoom here in the future than I do the live in-person classes. So bless your hearts. Thank you for being with me. And if you want to check out my website, it's pretty easy. It's tinazion.com. And I thank you with all of my heart, and I'll see you next month. Bye-bye.